Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with me, Pops underscore G19, and my friend Aldi Jesus. Today, we're going to be talking about a relatively older movie. That movie being Batman Forever, which was made in 1995, directed by, and if I'm correct, it was Joey Schumacher. Yeah, Joey Schumacher, right, Aldi?
Yep.
Okay, Joey Schumacher. It was going to originally be produced and directed by Tim Burton, but the last movie Tim Burton made for Batman was too dark, and they didn't, want have any issues with the ratings and all that. Point is, directed by Ryan Schumacher, and for Batman they casted Val Kilmer. For Two Face they have Tommy Lee Jones, and for Riddler they have the famous Jim Carrey. So pretty respectable cast, in my opinion. Now, so how does this movie open, right? Well, it opens with Two Face staging like a robbery, right, Aldi? He's like
Yeah.
trying to pull like a bank safe with like a helicopter. Um, and Batman swings in, saves his day, stops him, and he doesn't catch Two Face. He gets away, which happens a lot in the movie. But basically, Batman's trying to hunt down Two Face because he's sick of his shenanigans all around Gotham. But when he's back as Bruce Wayne, he goes to Wayne Enterprises, the business he owns, and he meets a man named Edward Nigma who is like in his like technology department or something like that.
Yeah,
And
he's like a tech scientist.
yeah, he's trying to make like
Yeah.
tech that will like take uh, Bruce Wayne Enterprises to like a whole new level to like sell stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is. Sorry, go ahead.
innovation, right? And this said innovation is a kind of like a mind reading device that is like able to transport people's mind into like whatever TV show they're watching. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
VR in a sense, right?
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's almost like VR but without the headset,
Yeah,
if
more or
that makes
less.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more or less. It's pretty much what it is. And the method in which this like brain wave transferring happens is like this really weird like milkshake blender looking thing they put on top of a TV, and they like connect to someone's brain, and then they can see all the pictures and yada yada yada, right? So the point I'm trying to get to is Edward Nigma tells Batman about his new invention, and Batman's like, "Oh, okay, sweet. What does it do?" He tells him exactly what I just explained. It transports brainwaves into the TV, and he says, it manipulates brainwaves. And Bruce Wayne, being the ethical businessman that he is like, "Yo, that doesn't sound like that sounds
The
ethical."
ethical.
Yeah, because you're messing with people's brains, and he's like, sorry, Ed, but maybe next time. Interesting idea, but refine it. He didn't completely shut the guy down. He just told him refine it a bit, and we can move forward with the project, right? Whatever. But Edward Nigma, being the you know psycho that he is, takes it like Bruce Wayne is like rejecting him, and so basically gets butthurt like your typical redditor, and
He crashed out.
more or less, yeah, he crashes out. He gets really pissed at the world, and he's like, fine, if Bruce Wayne doesn't want my genius, no one is gonna get my genius. Something like that, right?
And
Um,
don't forget that he has an unhealthy obsession with Bruce Wayne.
he does,
Like
like,
he
yeah,
wants to become Bruce Wayne.
yes, he
So he's
does.
gonna
Like he,
do everything in his power to replace and become better than Bruce
yeah,
Wayne,
he
just
like
basically.
sees Bruce Wayne as like a god almost. Like he treats this guy like, he's like you know, the best thing since sliced bread. But
Yeah.
point is, he's an obsessed freak, right? He gets butthurt over Bruce Wayne telling him no, and decides to run away and develop his machine more so that he could take over Gotham, right? Because he's the Riddler. Well, not yet. He becomes the Riddler eventually, but
Yeah.
eventually he decides to team up with Two Face later on once he puts on his guise as the Riddler, right? And decides
Yeah.
to teams up with Two Face, and it's like, hey, if you Two Face, I know you're crazy and you're nuts. If you can help me rob banks and like take a bunch of money, you can help me fund my project to build like a company so we can mass produce these mind altering devices. And so Two Face is like, yeah, sure, why not? And for like a good chunk of the movie, it's just Two Face and Riddler running around just causing trouble for everyone.
Yeah.
And
Nonsense.
yeah, it's pretty wacky. And eventually Batman is like, "Man, I know it's Two-Face who's up to it, but he's working with someone. Who could it be?" And every time he finds the last spot where Riddler and Two-Face were, there's always like some. They try to make it look cryptic, like a cryptic riddle, but it's like some really corny, like little arts and crafts project that like a third grader would make. Um, but there is eventually a part where Batman, well, he goes to a circus, right? And that's where he meets Robin, because Two-Face pops in and kills Robin's parents, and that's how Robin joins Batman. It's a whole production. But
Yeah.
when he's at the circus, he's with like his date, who's like this psychologist slash like forensic scientist that works with the Gotham Police Department. And the whole time, every time they interact, it's like extremely uncomfortable, and they make it more like I guess
It,
I don't want to use this word, but they make it more like we're like really like horny, like for some reason, talking to each other a certain way, looking at each other in certain ways. It's like really really freaky.
it's not like even regular flirtation. It feels forced
It
too.
does, it does. It's like not natural, and that's what makes it even worse and more uncomfortable for the viewer. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. I mean, all these, like you just heard him, he feels the same, and so does other viewers. I've read other reviews, and people feel really uncomfortable when they're watching this movie. But you know, it's just Bruce Wayne and that psychologist lady. Her name was like Dr. Chase or something like that. And every time they're with each other, they get flirty with each other or whatever, right? So, like I said, they go to the circus. They meet Robin. His parents get killed by Two Face. Yada yada yada. And eventually, there's a part where Two Face and Riddler like break into Wayne Manor, right? And it's like the dumbest way possible. They like pretend they're trick or treaters because of all days it's Halloween for some reason. So they pretend they're trick or treaters. Alfred opens the door. They freaking beat the dude like unconscious with with Riddler's cane, and then they go inside the Batcave and they just absolutely trash it. To basically give Batman a big ol' fu for like trying to stop their crimes. And Batman finds out. He gets angry and he's like, "All right, that's enough. Enough's enough." And you put an end to Riddler and Two Face, right? And so to do so, Batman has to track down Riddler to his lair. And you know how I mentioned earlier how he's trying to raise money to make a company to build like these devices,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So like off of like Gotham Harbor, there's just absolutely massive complex that is like it looks like a discotheque, like Inferno, something like that. There's like a bunch of lights, like the movie, like this part of the movie where they fight Riddler and Two Face for the final time. It's like epilepsy warning for everyone, flashing lights, this and that, and in the middle of it, there's this giant like it's like the giant blender, like I mentioned earlier, that he puts on the TVs, that gives all all the brain power, brain juice to the Riddler, right? So he could steal people's information and become super, super smart, right? Um,
Yeah.
so Batman, Robin, and the psychiatrist, whatever, tracks him down. Um, Batman takes Riddler down by throwing a batarang at his giant brain wave sucking blending machine. And like I kid you not, Riddler dies of genuine like literal brain rot. Like his brain fries from like the machine exploding. So they
I
knock
agree
Riddler
with you.
out. What's wrong?
No, I was agreeing with you.
So they knock Riddler out, and then the whole time it's like, oh, that's Riddler. Where's Two Face? Where did he run off to? Well, Riddler, um, Two Face shows up, and he's like, oh, you thought you could, yeah, you may have stopped him, Batman, but you're not gonna stop me. And goes up to Batman and Robin and starts, trying to give him the business and kill him, right? And he has him on the ropes, like he has him hanging by a thread off of an edge over like a giant pit of like spiky rocks. And he's like, "All right, Batman, I'll give you a fair chance," because he flips a coin, right, to decide whether he kills someone or whether he lets them live. So he's like, "All right, Batman, I'm gonna flip a coin. Heads, you live. Tails, you're dead. Womp womp, right?" So then he goes to flip his coin, and Batman throws like a bunch of just apparently just has quarters in his pocket. He just throws quarters at at Two-Face, and Two-Face is like, no, which quarter's mine? Oh no! And trips trying to grab his quarter and falls down the hole that he was trying to like kill Batman, Robin, and the lady in. And well, there goes Two-Face. He dies trying to grab his coin. And so then they finally catch up to Riddler, who's brain rotted, and he's just like, "Oh, you beat me. How's this possible? I'm supposed to be super smart, and you're Batman. How did you beat me?" And they lock him up in Arkham Asylum, and everyone lives happily ever after. That is until the next Batman movie with George Clooney in it, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole yet. Um, so, pretty wild movie, all sorts of wacky, zany things that happen. Um, I had mixed feelings about this movie. I saw many good things the movie had, and I saw many awful things this movie did. One awful thing in particular was the way they portrayed Riddler and Two-Face. Like, they were extremely cartoony. I understand they were trying to make the movie like the comic books, like the movie with Jack Nicholson in it as a Joker. Like, they did a good job with that, right?
Yeah, more
But
lighthearted.
yeah, but this one with Jim Carrey and Two-Face, it was like they were
They were
overly
over the top.
cartoony. I'm sorry, repeat that, dude.
It was very over the top.
Extremely. And the actor for Two-Face, Tommy Lee Jones, as I mentioned earlier, he's known to be in more serious roles in other movies he's been in. So don't get me wrong, he could have been able to do like a serious Two-Face, but the thing is they wanted him to match the directors wanted him to match the energy of Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey, he's like ADHD the actor. So you have Tommy Lee Jones, this guy who's a more serious actor, trying to keep up with the insanity that is Jim Carrey's acting, and you get a character that's like the Two-Face just acts like he's got. I mean, his character has screws loose, but he acts like he's got extra screws loose in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even funny. It's like uncomfortable and annoying to watch. Another negative is I didn't go too much into Robin earlier, but the guy who acts Robin is not very good. Hence why they replace him in the next movie. And Robin's just generally very like whiny in the movie. He complains about everything. Batman literally adopts him, and he still complains about Batman always like breathing down his shoulder, or sorry, breathing down his neck, and he's just really really annoying.
I think the not to undermine what you said, but I think it's the same actor in Batman Forever and Batman Beyond, or whatever it's called.
Really?
Rock. I think he is.
Really?
I think he is. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I'll look into that when I have to watch that mess of the
Something
movie eventually.
Something I heard was that the guy who plays Lando Calrissian in Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
he was originally supposed to play Two-Face before
He
Tommy Lee
was.
Jones.
I read that
And
too. He
something
was, and I think he would have done actually a very good job as
I think so.
as Two-Face. But the acting world, they switch out actors like, 1 minute you're
Yeah,
on the
like-
job, the next they're like, "Oops, sorry, you're out." Womp womp. But what else? Jim Carrey, I found to be. There were some times where he was entertaining in the movie. Most of the time he was just extremely annoying. I'm not saying he's a bad actor or anything, but his particular style of acting I'm not very fond of, and he just going extremely over the top with his Riddler character. Frankly, like he was acting more like an extreme version of the Joker, to in a sense. So with like his facial expressions, the way he laughs, the way he acts, and like the
Yeah.
dude acts like a genuine cartoon character when he's in the movie, which I guess is good for like goofy movies like The Mask, right? He fits right in. But with this kind of movie, and I know, I'm taking a Batman movie too seriously. Well, but yeah, I know, but at the same time, like there's got to be some level of seriousness and some expectations that have to be drawn, and I just thought
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was just not the most tolerable character in the movie. Um, but besides that, in terms of positives, I will say the set pieces and the like the scenery in the movie is like really cool. Like you could tell they put a lot of effort into making it more like the comic book coming to life. There's a lot of detail, all sorts of little things where if you don't look, you'll miss it, and that's really cool for if you're observant, like if you're an observant person like me. Very vibrant, very colorful, is always busy with something going on. They're like the action scenes are actually pretty decent. Is it as good as like action scenes by 2020 standards? Probably, probably not, but it holds up. It was entertaining to watch the fighting. Um, and this movie cost like 100 million, apparently.
I
Yeah, it cost about 100 million, and it made 336 million at the box office, which is pretty impressive. They basically
how much
tripled.
was it?
It was 100,000. Sorry, 100 million, and they made back 336 million. So they made back their investment times three, which is pretty damn good. Could it have been better? No doubt. If they ironed out some of the issues that I was talking about earlier, yeah, the movie could have made way more. But for what it was, it did pretty well. Um, so in terms of ratings, what did the public say? Well, I mean, IMDb gave it a 5.5 out of 10. And, well, you know
Okay.
what? I agree with that. I think a 5.5 is fair. It wasn't an absolutely awful movie, but it wasn't an excellent movie either. It was like, it's kind of like an experience. You only want to see it once, and like, yeah, you don't watch it
Yeah.
again because
Never.
it's just not good. It was a waste of time, really. An entertaining waste of time, but a waste of time nonetheless. Um, and yeah, would I recommend you go and watch it? Sure, if you have nothing else better to do, go ahead, but I would
Yeah,
not.
it's more like a game that, sorry, a movie that
Yeah, yeah.
dumbed fun. If you're looking for a quality movie, I would recommend this.
Of course not. Watch the Batman movie with Heath Ledger, and that's so much better, and it's better investment of your time. But yeah, it's more of like a for craps and giggles type deal, right? So 5.5 by IMDb, and yeah, I give it the same rating. So
Yeah,
thank
I'll
you.
give it a 4.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
thank you for watching this review. If you have any more recommendations or you want to see, specific movie talked about, let me know. And thanks for watching.